everyone. I hope you're doing well, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. I'm here to do an intuitive card reading for today's daily energies to see what insights, guidance, and messages the universe has to share with us. So let's take a look at the cards and see what the universe wants us to know. Okay. We have Seven of Shells, Choice Ambitions. And it feels a lot like kind of taking ownership of our lives and recognizing that we can have more choices than we realize. Because oftentimes we end up usually unintentionally giving away our power, thinking things have to be a certain way, whether it be with your job, your friendships, your relationships, your family, whatever it is, like, oh, well, I have to do things this way, and people can guilt trip you, manipulate you, all that kind of things, but you have a lot more choice than you realize. You get to choose the people, places, and things you spend your time, energy, and attention. You get to choose who, what, when, where you associate with. And to an extent, if you're stuff that's to keep playing, but to an extent, like, you can have other people in play, like, let's say at your job, like, you have to do things a certain ways, company policy and all that, and you can be like, well, my hands are tied. And to an extent that's true, but you also get to choose if you continue that job. You can choose to look for other jobs. You can choose to walk away. And yeah, it can suck short term if you choose to walk away from that job because you wouldn't necessarily have an income right away, but you have the choice. What is it that you want to grow? Where you spend your time, energy, and attention will grow. It will build momentum. The energy you put out comes back to you. So, if you're like my family, who's always, making themselves out to be the victim, claiming powerlessness, complaining all the time, getting super frustrated and angry and resentful and all these things, and just like festering negativity. They obsess over it. Like, literally, they just fixate and ruminate on it. And it's like, I'm not going to say that nothing bad ever happens, but it's all about how you choose to show up in the world, how you choose to perceive things, how you choose to, tell yourself these narratives. What narratives you choose to say, because, for instance, let's say, like with my mom, how she had someone fix her printer for her, the co-owner, like, she chose to fixate on the negative and go on and on and on about how everything's always wrong, it broke, the jam was like crazy, like you couldn't get the paper out, all these things. She tried everything she could think of, and then it's just like, but someone still came in and they helped her. She didn't ask, but she's still fixating on the negative of how it was messed up. And then she's like, when it got fixed, she's like telling us all, it's like, oh, for now. And it's like, why are you focusing on the negative? Why are you choosing that? Like, you could choose to focus on the appreciation of how someone helped you out. They didn't have to. They didn't have to take the time, energy, and attention to, work on that, because he literally had to dissect the printer and take it all apart and then piece it all back together. And that, like, think about all the time, energy, and attention and effort that takes. But he still did it for her. But she's not even going to be appreciative of that fact. So that's the thing that can trip us up, is what we're choosing to focus on. And, what we focus on will grow. And considering how people like my mom put out all this negativity, is it really any surprise that that's what comes back to her? You reap what you sow. She's planting all these seeds of negativity. She's watering them. She's focusing on them. She's actively looking for them. Like Uncle Ira says, when you look for the light, you can often find it, but when you look for the dark, that's all you'll ever see. So the universe just wants us to get more aware of our choices and to reclaim our power. And while there are plenty of things outside of our control, we cannot control other people. We cannot control external factors, like the weather or traffic and things like that. But we can have control over our choices. Even if it doesn't feel like we have a choice, like even with the Holocaust, like there are people who could have been, choosing to be miserable, but they still chose to look for the joy. I'm trying to remember the name of that book, but like there's this book, and it's like there are people who found happiness and things to enjoy and be grateful for, even in the darkest of times, like the Holocaust. So yeah, it may not be easy. Yeah, there could still be things that suck and aren't to our preference, but where are you choosing to focus? What are your ambitions? What are you trying to tend to in your metaphorical garden of your life? What seeds are you planting? What are you watering? What are you nurturing? Are you pulling out the weeds? Because that is something that is in your control. You can't control whether or not, the weeds grow, but you can control whether or not you choose to water them, whether or not you choose to, pull them out. So I'm wishing you all a wonderful rest of your day. Please take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.